Yeah, so we're going to talk about project team and file sharing with cloud services today. So we're building upon that basic knowledge that we had the other day with learning how to file emails and do searches. And we're talking more now about, incorporating our project team and giving them access to the cloud services website for your projects, for your firm, and talking about the file sharing using that method for having files shared between internal and external people. So cloud services really provides a more collaborative use of file sharing for your projects, and it's also the basis for our future enhancements to Newforma. So as you work with Project Center and you see new releases come out, there will be more capabilities on the cloud services website, and bringing all that in and integrating directly with Project Center. So the first step here that we're talking about with cloud services with the file sharing is really going to help you synchronize projects, project teams, and folders of files created in Project Center, so behind your firewall, and being able to push those outside of your network up to the cloud services website, and have that shared and have external people be able to access that project website and for the cloud services and be able to download files and upload files and be able to see some of the history in there. So as you can see here, we've got like that three-pronged approach, right? We've got our Newforma mobile apps, the Newforma web apps, and Project Center kind of all coming into this cloud services going forward. So you'll still have your interface on your desktop, but we'll talk about sharing the files, and we'll see that firsthand. And I'll even show you the mobile apps. So as we're talking about, that cloud services piece of everything, it's really linking and synchronizing the project team and files, be able to synchronize those up, and really have a more simple and intuitive interface and mobile app access for the cloud services portion. So we do have it on Android and iOS, and I'm actually going to be using my iPad today, but if I had my my Android phone around me somewhere, I could even show it to you on that, but we'll be using my iPad today. And what it's going to really help you do is not only for the sharing capability, but be able to work with those files in a web client, so not having to have anything installed on your desktop for that, and access and upload the files from iOS or Android devices with the Newforma mobile apps, which we'll take a look at as well. Sync files and access the files via the Newforma mobile app or the cloud services website. So we have a little bit of everything going on today, it seems. We're also going to talk about adding team members to our project team and giving them access to cloud services. So that's really a first step in being able to access the cloud services website. Whether you're internal or external, you need to be on the project team within Newforma and have the cloud services access granted to you. We'll talk about the cloud services website, navigating around it, how to synchronize projects, teams, and folders, and how to even use the Newforma mobile app. So we're going to go away from this for just a second because we'll come back to that screen. And we're here in our project home. So just like we saw the other day, I'm actually logged into a different training environment, so it looks a little bit different. And we're at the project home. Now this is a project that is already available on cloud services, and it's very easy for me to be able to see that visually because I will have a little icon up here that will be a cloud, and it's green. And even when I see the icon for the project in other areas of Newforma, it will have a little cloud above it. So first I'm going to go back to my project. So I just clicked on my little icon here, and I set up a project for today with today's date, and I'm just going to open up that project in the project home. Now, to make a project available for cloud services, you need to be a global or project administrator. So a regular user who is not an administrator will not have access to be able to create this as a cloud services project. So just make sure that if you do need a project up on the cloud services website, that if you're not already a global administrator, that you access, have a global administrator or a project administrator create this as a project for cloud services for you. And it's very simple for those of you who are administrators. You'll simply click on the cloud icon and it will show you the name of your project, and you'll need to choose an Amazon storage region for the data. So currently in my environment we have North America only. Going forward there will be other Amazon web areas for storage. Right now we have, I think, Asia Pacific might have been the next one that opened, or it might have been EMEA, Europe and Middle East and Asia. So you'll just choose the one here that is appropriate. So just know that going down the line you might see other things in this drop down, and I'm going to say okay. So it's going to start the synchronization process with synchronizing that up to cloud services. And right now we're not sharing any files on it. It doesn't expose your network in any way. Even after it is a cloud services project, we actually choose what we place up on the cloud services website. But eventually my little icon up here will change from a little white cloud. It'll be a little green cloud. So it'll let me know that it has finished synchronizing up to cloud services. So the first thing we need to do once it is a cloud services project is we need to access the project team. And right now I'm logged in as Marianne Giordano, and I notice I don't have cloud services is not set to yes, and that's because previously this project was not a cloud services project. So to make sure that I am given access to this project as a cloud services project for people that are already on the project team, I would simply access their record. I would simply say modify over here on the left, and on the project roles and permissions I would need to check the box for allow access to the cloud services project team and say okay. This will give me the access to this project on the cloud services website. So even though I am internal and I am on the project team, unless I have that checkbox checked, I would not be able to access a cloud services project on the cloud services website. So the first time that you do this, you will get an email, and I can show it to you. Actually, I might as well just show it to you in the email. I do have a screenshot of it, but you'll get an email that will look like this. And it will say, you know, your project uses Newforma Cloud Services. You're invited to use our new, you know, mobile and web collaboration tools. And you'll say get started, and it will take you here. Mine is an ineligible address because it's already set up. So let me see if I have a screenshot of that, which I think I do. I do. So let me show you that. So it will come up to this login to Cloud Services screen on that Cloud Services website, and I will be able to enter, you know, it'll have my email address, I'll enter my first and last name, and I will be able to set up a password. Now the password has to be a minimum of 10 characters in length, and if you are already an external user, say for somebody else that uses Newforma, and you have a Newforma ID already set up for things like the mobile apps, you can make your cloud services password the same as your Newforma ID password. So just so you know that there is that ability to be able to synchronize those two. So if you are using the mobile apps for a project where you are the external person and you already set up the Newforma ID, and then now that you're using Newforma internally but you're using cloud services and you need that cloud services password, you can make them both the same. So you can have those equal the same thing, and then you just need to accept the terms and conditions here and say create password. Now when you do that, you will get a confirmation email from Newforma letting you know, your cloud services account has been set up successfully and that you can start collaborating with your team for that project website. So here, from that point forward, I would simply come to my login screen. So once I have this set up, again, I get my emails that are all sent to my email address here. I would get that collaboration, everything's been set up kind of email. Now to add other people to my project team, so if I'm already on the team, I can just check the box, I would get the email and I can set it up. If it's somebody else that I'm setting up on my project team, I have a couple of different ways that I can add team members. I can say add team members from contacts or company, and this will pull in the global directory from Project Center. So in this case, if I wanted to add someone to my team, I could choose them. and say, okay, I get this pop-up window here. And basically, I want to check the box for allow access to the cloud services project team and say okay. So that this way I can add my team member, I can give them web access or access to the cloud services website for this project, and that they would be able to collaborate then for this project only. So it's a person by person, project by project access. It's not like if I add Adam to this project and I give him cloud services access, if I add him to another team, if I don't give him cloud services access to that project, when he logs into that website, he would still only see this project. He wouldn't see both. So it's something that, you can still add people to your project team and not give them cloud services access, and that's fine. You might do it to, just keep track of everybody that you're working with on the project. Maybe down the road, if you're going to set up action items or do any kind of contract management through Newforma, you might set them up for those reasons as well, or just to organize who's on your project team, who are we working with internally and externally, and just have a record of that associated with the project. So that's one way, is to pull people from the global directory. Now, if I had people in my Outlook contacts that were not in the global directory, I could simply pull them over here from my Outlook contacts. I could drag and drop them over to my project team. And this one already exists, so I'm not going to update the information in Newforma, but then I could just say allow web access or allow cloud services access and be able to give that to them if I wanted to. So I have, options here that I can add people that way. I can also import project teams and be able to choose a team from another project. So I could just say, oh, I want to choose the team from that project, and I could pull over any or all of that team. So there are a couple of different ways. Usually if you use the same people from project to project, I would say just use the import. It makes it a lot easier because you can just say, oh yeah, those 8 people that we were working with on this project, we're working with them on this new project, and I could simply just copy them over from the other project, and that would be fine. And then with the other, I could just say add team members from contacts or company if I had other people, and that way it would pull from the contact directory within Newforma. So I have my team, I have my project. If I come back to my project home, sometimes my environment, the little icon doesn't turn green right away for whatever reason. But now I want to be able to share some files on the cloud services website. So if I come over here to my different files, I can choose a folder of files. So let's say that I wanted to, let's see what's in that. I have, I think, some models in here, and I have some training things in here, and let's see, I've got some other items in here. And if I wanted to, I could simply choose a folder, and I can say link to cloud services. And so what this allows me to do is, first I need to log into the cloud services website, so I'm going to sign in. I already set up my password, and it's going to tell me that I have this folder. I have a linked folder, and I have this drawing files folder that I'm pulling from my network, and it's telling me that it's going to pull it into cloud services into a drawing files folder, because I don't have any folders in here yet, which is okay. If I already had previous folders maybe set up and I wanted to link this one and put it in a folder that already exists, I could choose a different location, but I don't have any folders in this project yet. So I'm just going to say done, and it's going to link the folder and synchronize it between Newforma and cloud services.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Are those the folders underneath that, like that project with the number and then Raleigh?
Mm-hmm.
Are those ones that you've created or ones that Newforma has as like a default?
So all of the folders that are in here are ones that I have on the network. So let me step back just a second. When we set up a project in Newforma, we point to the location on the network for the folders for that project. And we tell Newforma, okay, for this project, all of these folders on the network from this top folder down, everything underneath of it, are related to this project, and I want you to index everything so that when we do our searches, it's indexing everything that's in all of these folders. So these folders that I'm looking at right here are not copies of what's on your network. They are what's on your network because we point to the location to them on the network when we set up the project in Newforma.
Okay, so basically, when we point the folder and tell Newforma to categorize those, it's our folder structure that's automatically populated there.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
And any changes that I would make here, like if I wanted to come to my Explorer tasks and create a new subfolder or rename folders, if I do it here, it's actually the folders on the network, so it would be seen there if somebody was in, say, Windows Explorer. I would see those same changes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. So we're going to let this synchronize here for just a second. We're going to go back to the cloud services. So I can see here I have, this folder is only visible to my company, and I can say go here to share with new companies, and that's fine. I can also drag and drop files into here if I was, say, out of the office, or if it was an external person and they had access to this folder on cloud services, they could drag and drop files here so that other people on the project team or people who have access to this project on cloud services would be able to see this folder and see the contents. So it gives them a way to be able to easily share things without having to send things through an FTP site or send things in multiple emails and then you have to upload them somewhere. They could simply access the project on cloud services and see the folder, and you could have multiple folders that you have shared, and then they would simply be able to drag and drop their files in here, and other people on the project team could see those. Now if I go to my files and I look at the folder, now I only have one here that I've started with, you'll see it has a little link icon, and that means that it's linked between Newforma and cloud services. But by all means, if there was somebody who was collaborating on the project and they didn't necessarily want it to sync back behind, or they wanted to create their own folder and you don't know whether or not you want to sync it back behind the firewall to your network, anyone who can access this project on cloud services can simply click the plus sign to create a folder, and they could name it whatever they want. So they could say current documents, or who knows what it is, right? And they could share that with other companies, right? So they could share with all the other companies or give custom access or whatever they wanted to. They could have some people that it's read-only or that they couldn't upload into the folder. But I could say create folder, and you'll see that when I create this folder, since it's not synchronized behind the firewall into Newforma, it's a folder that's available here on cloud services, and depending on what access I give the folder, other people on the project team will either be able to access it or download from it or add files to it or whatever, but it's not anything that we do within that folder. It simply resides on the cloud services website. It's not synchronizing back behind the firewall into my network at all because I don't have a little icon here. Now I could create a folder on my network that says, current documents, and I could say create it as a shared folder and up to cloud services and link it to this folder, and it would then make this icon a little link icon. And then that way I would know that it is linked back behind the firewall. Now, to external users, they don't see the little link icon. They just see all of the folders that are available for that project and know that they can create new folders. But only internal people would see that little link icon and know which ones go back behind the firewall. If I wanted to access other projects that I can see within the cloud services, I could click the down arrow here and I would see other projects, or I could click the projects button right up here and I would see a list of projects. The other things that I can see here in the upper right, I have my general help. So just like when we're in Newforma and we're sitting at our desk and we're not using the cloud services, I have the help in the upper right and it's a question mark. It's the same here within the cloud services website. I can simply come up here, I can start typing help, and then I can, anything that has this little bubble actually has a walk me. And if I find one, let's find one that's European date format, that's fine. I would be able to, I don't know if mine's going to work because it's not European, but I usually get a little pop-up that goes through some information, and if it's something that has a step-by-step process, it will actually walk me through the step-by-step on that process. So if it was something like uploading files or creating a new folder or something like that, if there was a walk me that was available for that, then it had that little bubble icon, then it would actually walk me through that process. So if I close out of here, I can also see my name in the upper right-hand corner, and I have this little MG. And if you are familiar with Gravatar to create a little avatar for yourself, if you have one set up there, you can actually create the image and have your image show instead of your initials. Sometimes that's kind of nice when we're looking at project teams, because if they have that associated with their name, we can actually see a little photo of that person versus just their initials. Just something to kind of make it a little bit more human and not so, oh, it's computer based. It's like everybody isn't really, people aren't people, right? It's everybody's just initials or something like that. If you do have a Gravatar setup, you could have that populate in there so that you'd have it seem a little bit more human. If I click the down arrow here, I can see, who I'm logged in as. I can edit my profile, which allows me to change my salutation. I could use a different language here, and then I could also, if I click on the company, I would be able to see all the company members that are using this. Now I'm internal, so that's how I see everybody who is available internally at my firm. I would be able to view all of that and see all of the people here available. And I can even search my member list. I can also change my password. So if at any time if I update maybe my computer password and I want to make that my cloud services password, I can go ahead here and update my password, and again I can make that my new Forma ID at any time. So here I've got my projects, and I'm going to access a project that I believe has some data in it. It should. And we'll take a look at that. So here I can see all of the folders, and I see that 2 are linked back to Newforma and 1 isn't. And that's okay. I can also see on the team who has access to this project, so I could see other project team members. I could even email them from here. I just cannot add new project team members from here. I would need to do that within Project Center, not within Cloud Services. So I've got my files, I've got my folders here, and if I take a look at my drawing files, I can go into that, and I can see all of the files, and I can choose to download those. If I click on one, I can download it directly. I could modify the file, so I can modify the name of the file if I want to. I can also look at the versions. So imagine if I had a file in here and someone had downloaded the file and changed something and uploaded it with the same name. I would be able to see all of those changes and all of those versions of those files and be able to open each individual version of that file without having to rename it something different or store it in a different location. I would be able to see all of those iterations of that file and see who uploaded it or who, downloaded it or what have you. I would be able to see all of that information here within the versions. And even in the history, I can see, who downloads my files, when, etc. So I have some more of my information there on that one particular file itself. So if we go back here, let's go back to our projects, let's go back to our Durley, and if I look here again at my files, I can also share this file. So I can give that link, search the contact list, and share this, and even add a comment if I wanted to add this and send it to somebody. So notice here that, I've got that one selection, but it's really for people who have access to this project, and then I could add a comment in there if I needed to. I can also delete the file. It will only go into the deleted items though. It doesn't disappear completely from Cloud Services. It's just in the deleted items, and if I delete something by mistake, I can always restore it. So if I wanted to add these back in and restore them, I could. It doesn't go away completely. It's just in the deleted items. So,
Are they in the delete lines forever?
they will be. Yep. They will stay there forever.
Hey, Lori, if you want to share files, do you have to do it through the cloud services, or can you do it through Project Center?
So the only training that we have right now for you guys is for cloud services. There is another way we call info exchange that I can send packages of files similar to like a file sharing website, except it sends the recipient an email notification and then they can download directly from the email. Or they can log into a project website to download that's different from cloud services. Everything is more geared towards cloud services at this point though going forward. And like I said, we're doing just the cloud services today, but if you choose to purchase the, and I don't know what your timeline is for that, but if you ever go to purchase the info exchange portion for file sharing, we would go through that process, but we can initiate that directly from Newforma. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then next question, if you have a synced folder that's on there, like the drawings file folder,
Yep.
that's at the top of your screen right now,
Yep.
can someone from an external team, can they put files in a synchronized folder?
They can. Yep.
Okay, and then so what happens to that? Because the synchronized folder is essentially a copy of what's on your network already, correct?
Correct. So if they upload a file with the same name, like they download something and then they upload a file with, say, A201, it would overwrite it when it synchronizes back behind the firewall onto your shared folder. So that would come back into that. So you do have the ability to, to have separate folders. They could also set up their own folder for their uploads and upload the files there. But you would still always be able to come in and see what the history was of that file and even see the versions and be able to access those versions directly from here.
It seems dangerous, doesn't it, that a file could get updated and then go back behind the firewall without us granting permission to do so, I guess?
Right. So you do have that when you share the project with the team, and let's say that we put, let's go ahead and let's go into the other project. And we have our team. And you could choose to, sorry, let me go ahead back here to my project. And there is a way to be able to share so that it's a download and view only, basically, but not upload into that file. So we would have to, let me go back into my other, let's go into my other one. It makes it a little bit easier. So here, if I'm on my team, you would be able to give them read-only access to that folder. I don't know why mine's not working. I'll have to take a look at that on my end, but I would be able to only grant them read-only access if I wanted to let them be able to set up their own subfolders, right, that don't automatically synchronize back, or allow them to upload into that particular folder. So you do have an option to kind of restrict, yes, this person is on my project team. Yes, they can see the files in this folder, but they can't upload into that folder. So that's where that security line goes, is that it's a read-only access or if it's full access to that project, so that they would, they wouldn't be able to overwrite things that go back behind your firewall. You could also set up files that folders that are, only for cloud services if you just wanted them to be able to collaborate kind of offline or outside of Newforma and not synchronize back behind the firewall. They could do that as well. But it is a question I get a lot. It is not perfect at this moment. I understand you don't want things to come back behind your firewall, but you would have to set that at the individual person level and determine, company level, and determine, okay, this person or this company, they can download all day long and they can create their own subfolders, but they cannot upload into those synchronized folders. so that you would have that ability to be able to share as much as you want and have things added to the synchronized folder when you add them back behind the firewall and have them push up to Newforma, and that's fine. But then have that kind of barrier to say, okay, well, you can't upload into this folder. So I know with the next version, they're looking at making that a little more seamless so that you can more easily determine who has access to upload into the folder and who doesn't. It's just not as easy to get to at this moment, and mine doesn't seem to be functioning properly. So I'll have to send a little bit more information to you, Steve, on how you can set that up directly. So we've got our folders, we've got our synchronization set up, and just so that you're aware here, if a folder is a shared folder, it will look like a little cloud here with that folder when I look at the folders here on the network within Newforma. And the synchronization occurs two different ways. So if I add something new to this folder, that will trigger the synchronization to happen automatically. When somebody accesses the folder externally and they upload something into this folder, and they say upload, right? They're going to say upload, and they browse to wherever the item is for them. When they upload here, it does run a process on the Amazon Web Services on this website, and it will synchronize. It just doesn't trigger it immediately. It's usually within, I would say, about 15 minutes is about how long it would take to synchronize back behind a firewall if you were allowing it to synchronize back. But the trigger from the internal side is as soon as I add files to that folder, it will trigger the synchronization to push up to the Cloud Services website and have that available to your external users. So the other things that we can see here within Newforma, obviously I can see which ones are on the Cloud Services website and have that available, you know, visually to see which ones are there. I could also click the down arrow here and say View Linked Folder Status and see, you know, how many folders I have linked, which ones are there, you know, when was the last time that they were synchronized. And usually I don't really have any problem with anything you know, taking too long to synchronize, but if there was any issue where it was not synchronizing properly and you looked at the icon and it was like a little clock, then you might want to click that down arrow and look at the linked folder status, and there might be something that's listed here as to why it's not synchronizing. And then you can always unlink a folder here so that it no longer will synchronize on the Cloud Services website. It will still be there though. So it just means that the folder would still show here in this folder structure. It would no longer have a link icon to you, and it would no longer synchronize back behind the firewall to your network. So it's kind of like, you know, the files are still there, and the external people can still access them, but if I add something new to that folder, it's not going to synchronize and push to the Cloud Services website. And there might be a couple of different reasons for that. You might have originally pushed up all the files for maybe your specs or, you know, general contract information, and then you're like, well, you know, going forward we're going to put other stuff in this folder and we don't want external people to see it or access it from the Cloud Services website, and you could simply unlink the folder at that point. If it truly is a folder though that that you didn't want to show any longer and you didn't want to show the contents any longer, then I would say, you know, remove all the files from the folder, synchronize it so it's empty here, and then unlink the folder. Just deleting the folder will not remove it from the Cloud Services website. So it is something that you kind of have to think about the process. I know it's new. I know it's something that you're still working into, but I would say for Cline, I would say probably just set up a test folder and maybe, you know, make that a Cloud Services folder and put all of you on it and give you access to it, and then kind of use that to kind of test out the process to say, okay, well, I think it works this way, or maybe I need to test something out so that I know that external people are going to be able to see it, and maybe test it out on that test project first. And then as you go forward with your actual projects, you'll have a better understanding and also have a project that you can always go back to and kind of kick the tires on it and see that it works the way that you expect it to work, and have that available just for kind of a sandbox environment to kind of think about. Because I know it's you work with clients who either already use Newforma and you're getting things through InfoExchange, or you're using FTP sites, or you're using some other collaborative tool. And so this is something new, and it does take a little while to kind of wrap your brain around it. I totally acknowledge that, but really having that kind of test environment available to you, at least for one project, is a good thing, I think, because that way you can really try out those things and see how it functions. Now, in hand with this, with the project website, we also have the mobile app. So the mobile app will help you to be able to do a lot of this same information, same file sharing and things like that, but within a mobile application and not a browser. So, for example,
Hey, Lori.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before we get to the mobile app, I've got a couple of quick questions.
Sure.
If you create a new folder or someone adds something to a folder on cloud services, does the team get a notification that something's been placed there?
No, it doesn't have an email notification. No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So is the best way to notify like external team members, would it be to send them a download link or just send them an email and say you've added something? How does that work? Because, you know, we're used to using FTP sites where if you add something to the site, you can set it so all the users get, you know, an upload or download notification.
Right, and I've heard that from product development, that they're working on setting up a way to have notifications go. Currently, there is no notification either direction. So if you were to upload new files, you might want to send an email to people and say, hey, you know, I just uploaded a whole bunch of new files. But there won't be, at this point, at least, and this is 11th edition, won't have an automatic notification or be able to set up an automatic notification on that. But I know that it is in, it's on the radar for product development to be able to set that up, because I know with our current file sharing with InfoExchange, we have notifications that go automatically, and
Right.
I know our clients are looking for that with cloud services as well. And like you said, you use FTP sites and you have things like that too. So I know that that's coming, I just don't know when.
Okay, and then
Yep.
the next question is,
Sure.
can you go to the options where you're essentially sending someone a download notification, where you're sending them the link? Can you go through that process
Oh,
again?
yeah. So the when I add somebody to a project team, so if I add someone here to a project team, I would say add team member, either from contacts or company, or import project team members, or drag and drop
Right.
them from Outlook, and I choose them here. And what initiates that email is this checkbox right here, this allow access to cloud services project team.
Okay, I
So,
understand that.
yep.
I guess the question was, if before you showed where you could right-click on one of the files that's already on cloud services and send someone a link.
So it's linking the file to the folder to cloud services. So here it would be, if I wanted to share a certain photo or file, I would simply right-click and say link to cloud services.
What if it's already on cloud services? I think you showed that before, where you were sending someone a download link from cloud services.
A download link from cloud services. They get email notifications when they're originally added to the team, but it's not really a download link. It's a link to get to the login screen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What if they don't do Newforma?
Yeah.
They don't have to be a Newforma customer. They don't have to be a Newforma customer at all.
They have to make an ID.
You just have to, yeah, they just have to come up with a password, and once you add them to the project team and give them access to cloud services, that's when they get this email, and that's what takes them to, let me show you.
You have to add them to the project team?
You do have to add them to the project team, and you have to check the box to give them cloud services access.
So, for instance, you don't want, say you're uncomfortable with having everything linked to your firewall.
Restrict all their access.
Well, and you have, I thought you have a folder and you can drag and drop items in there, and that can be the files you want to share with different folks externally.
Right.
Can you not just send an email so they can simply access that folder and download those files?
Without putting them in the team.
Without putting them on the team or anything, just wanting to use it as a file share sort of system.
Yes, so that would be the info exchange. That wouldn't be cloud services, because then I wouldn't even have to add them to the project team. I could just send them files. They would get an email notification, and it would have a link that they could just download all the files. But it's not the collaborative way that cloud services works. So there's two different schools of thought, right? If you're sending something to them that is completely static and it's a snapshot in time and it's like, these are the drawings as of right now and I want to send them to you, I would send them through Info Exchange, because that way it's just, okay, this is what it is at the time that I send it. I have a record of who downloads what files and when and all that good stuff. And that would be just an email notification. I do not have to add people to my project team. I don't have to give them access to anything. But if it's something that needs to be more collaborative, where people are downloading things and changing things and uploading things and all this kind of stuff, this gives me, with cloud services, a way that my external team members can work with each other and with me on this project for these documents in a very collaborative way without having to send a whole bunch of file transfers every which way, and they don't have to receive a whole bunch of emails. They can just log into cloud services whenever they want. They can see what the most recent set of documents are, and they can see, you know, what the different versions are. They can see who uploaded what files and when. They can upload their own files. They can make changes. They can do all this kind of thing, and it's a very collaborative environment. So it's really kind of two different ways of thinking. Is I know sometimes you need to really have things, you know, this is our 30% DD drawings and I need to send that at this point in time and nobody's going to change them. Then that's fine through Info Exchange. But if it really needs to be that collaborative environment where people internally and externally on the project team are working together, then that's more of the cloud services discussion that we're talking about.
And you said that we don't have Info Exchange. We just signed up for cloud services.
Correct.
Now, right?
Correct. That's all I see for the training. I don't know if you've had any discussions with your account manager on going Info Exchange down the road, but that's all that I see right now is cloud services. Let me just take one more check just to double check what I have. I just see the communications package. I don't see the Info Exchange, which is the file sharing package. So that's why we're only talking cloud services today. Yeah.
Well, if we wanted, so if we're only using cloud services, but we wanted to have that security of not being past our firewall, we just set up a static folder for cloud services, and then these people on the team alone have access to that folder. That's not linked. Is that right?
Yeah, you could push it once and then just not have it synchronized. You could unlink it after that point. Yep. If it was a static set of documents.
Or you could just create a folder
and
drag and drop.
Yeah, and drag and drop and put them there. Yep, you could do that too.
But then you have to.
But they would still need to be on the project team and have access to cloud services to be able to see those files, yes.
You still need to send them a message to go on and download it, correct?
There is no message that says go in and download it. It's just a message that says here you've been.
No, I'm saying you'd have to send them an email.
Yes, yeah. If you wanted to let them know that files were there, yes. Yep. Okay, so just to show you while we're letting that marinate in the brain, we're going to go ahead and talk about the mobile app. It works in a very similar fashion. The download is free, and I would just log in with my cloud services login. So let me go ahead and log in there, and I would be able to see all of the projects. It's going to fetch my projects here, and I would be able to see all the projects that I have access to on cloud services, and I could even go into those folders and see those particular files, and I could even send those to someone else if I needed to. I could send them via email to someone else, but I could, you know, make it full screen. I could zoom in, take a look at these files, no problem. And if I even needed to, I could, you know, take a look at all of these. I could tap on the little ellipsis there in the upper left, and I could create a new folder if I wanted to, and I could even upload from my camera. So if there were photos that I took maybe while I was at the job site and I wanted to offload those from my phone or from my iPad, I could upload from camera, and I could see all of the other items in my camera and upload those there. I could also filter different ways by name, file size, date modified, or in reverse order. And if I'm in my email on my device, oh, I got a couple more emails in, I could, if I wanted to, when I open a document, when I tap on the upload in the upper right-hand corner, notice I have this copy to new forma, and I can actually pull this into any of my projects. So I could select a subfolder. Let's put it in my drawing files. And then I could say save. And then that way it would upload into my drawing files folder. And I would see it here. Now mine's uploading in the background, but I would have that available, and then I would have that available in Cloud Services, which would then be available on the Cloud Services website, and when it hits the synchronization, would synchronize back behind the firewall if it is a folder that synchronizes both directions. If it's just one that people can upload into and it doesn't synchronize back behind the firewall, that's fine. It's okay. It can still stay there, and anyone else who is on the project team with access to that project would be able to see those files, download those files, etc. But it gives me just a really nice way of being able to, access those folders, see, those files, and then I could upload or create a subfolder and even upload from email if I wanted to directly. But it's just another way of being able to access this if you weren't, maybe you were on your phone or something like that and you needed to access a file really quick and you didn't have time to open your laptop and open the project, Cloud Services website and all of that. If I had my phone and I had the app, I could simply open those files and even email them to someone else if I needed to, without having to do a lot of heavy lifting in that regard. So I know it's a lot in the brain. I know it's not perfect for maybe what you're looking for, but just know that you can always, you could, create a project as a Cloud Services project. You could create that folder from the Cloud Services website and not synchronize it, and you could just drag and drop those files directly in there and make those available to their project team. And then that way they could just see them whenever they needed to. They wouldn't have to get any notification or anything like that. I mean, you could send them an email, but they could go in at any time and be able to access those files directly without having to, jump through a lot of hoops or look through a lot of emails. They could just simply log onto there and they could see not only that set of files, but they could also create their own folder and put some files in there that maybe they share with the other parts of the project team, or that actually synchronize back behind the firewall into that folder for you. And have those synchronized back, between Newforma and Cloud Services directly, and have a little bit more collaboration. Like I said, it's the first step. It's the first phase of rollout into Cloud Services for Project Center. Previously, we use a project website that we share files with, but this is a whole new thing that we're going to be bringing out. All of Newforma will still be available in the interface that you see on screen, but we'll also have the ability to share and do a lot of collaborative kind of things with action items and contract management and things like that on the Cloud Services website and through the mobile app, and have it synchronized with Newforma directly, so that if people just want to use a web browser, they can just do that to access the files. They don't have to ask for a file transfer or have access to Newforma per se. They could just access it directly from the Cloud Services website. So like I said, I would say set up a training project, maybe create some subfolders in there and really test it out and get used to how it is to share and synchronize the folders. And just see whether, whether it works for some of your projects, and if it doesn't work for your project, maybe try to think about why, what kind of things can we do that would be more beneficial through Cloud Services versus, an FTP site where we don't have any kind of tracking or things like that. And by all means, I would say provide us with any feedback that you think would be helpful with enhancing the functionality of Cloud Services so that we can make it more useful for all of our clients. I think that's the goal, really, is so that we really get in to know those things that you really need to do and have access to within the Cloud Services website so that we can make it more functional for everyone. But yeah, the download is free for the app. The only global and project administrators can create the project as a cloud services project. So they would be the only ones that would be able to click on this and make it a cloud services project. But by all means, once it is a cloud services project, just make sure to, if you want to just test it out, you could just make sure that you're on the project team and that this cloud services user is checked as yes. And then that way you would be able to access it, and you should get the email to create your login ID. You should get one that looks like this, and then once you set it up, you should get an email letting you know that it's been set up successfully and that you can start collaboration on that project. And then that way you can go in and kind of kick the tires on it and make sure it works for what you want it to do. Any other questions?
This is Steve. I would just like to reiterate that the approach we're taking on this is we're really trying to replace the email portion of our process right now.
Mm-hmm.
And our hope is that everybody will like the way it functions, and that we'll be able to continue to add the modules like the info exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's actually a few others that are offered would work in the field for CA and things like that. So I know it's probably a little confusing doing the training on the cloud services right now, but it's just the way things are packaged, and we did want to get this email thing rolling as soon as possible. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head, that we don't have to take full advantage of the cloud services right now. Let's get the email piece right and get everybody using it first.
Sure. Yeah, no, filing all your emails, having those all associated to the project and being able to search those and really kind of moving towards that direction, I agree, is key. Because everybody has email, right? And we all have too much of it. So it's nice to kind of get it out of Outlook and associate it to a project and have it associated there and be able to search it very quickly and easily. So that's definitely the first step, and this is kind of just building on that, even though it may not be today or tomorrow, but just knowing that it's there, and then when you're ready to move towards that step, having that available for you. So no, I agree with that completely.
So Steve, do you think when we start the on-site training portion that we'll focus mainly on email management before we jump into the cloud services option?
I think so.
Yeah.
And that was one of the other goals, is not to not to overwhelm everybody right off the bat, to get this thing done in small portions where everybody was comfortable with it and could move on step by step.
Yep, so that's also why we record this, so that when you guys are ready to kind of circle back and start with cloud services, that you'll have this recording and you can go back and kind of, oh yeah, that's how we do that. Yeah, I've seen this before, but kind of, cement it in your brain, right, so that we're ready to go forward with that. And it's the same with the first training that we did earlier this week, is that we have that recording. You guys have that in-house. If you had some folks that couldn't make it, or you just need a refresher, you can go back and watch that at any time. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to watch the videos. We're all here to help each other. So hopefully we'll get it going with email, and then we'll just keep on going.
Hey Steve, where are we putting those recorded training videos?
Once we really get rolling, we'll have them on the intranet site.
Sounds good.
Good. Okay, well, thanks guys. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Steve, I'll send you the recording, and then if there's any questions that come out of the training that you have, Steve, you can just forward those to me and I'll be happy to help with those.
Sounds great. Thank you much.
You're welcome. You guys